Hello out there, you're watching everything you need to know about Mage Knight board game. From before we were talking about the spells, and I only have these spells left, so we'll go through them really quickly. There's only 3 sets left to go through. Red, blue, white, and green. Our first red spell is Burning Shield, which gives you 4 points of fire block, and if you use it successfully to block, you can use it in the attack phase as Fire Attack 4. Obviously, this is a card that Arithia is going to be using a lot. Its stronger spell is called Exploding Shield. Of course, requires a red and black mana. It can only be played at night. It also gives you Fire Block 4. And if you use this card as part of a successful block, you can destroy the blocked enemy. Obviously, the blue card is something Tovok's going to like. Chill and Lethal Chill. Target enemy does not attack this combat. Now, Chill also says if it has fire resistance, it loses it for the rest of the turn. Lethal Chill says it gets armor -4 to a minimum of 1 for the rest of the turn. So both those are really good if you have blue mana. Being able to play this with black mana and blue mana at night is even better. Wings of Wind, Wings of Night. Now, this is both a movement and a combat card. This is something Norawas is going to want because it's white. Wings of Wind says when you play this, spend 1 to 5 move points and move 1 revealed space on the map for each. You must end your move in a safe space, and moving this way does not provoke rampaging enemies. You got to get by that Draconum? No problem, you can use this and get by. Wings of Night, which can be played at night and requires both white and black mana, says target enemy does not attack this combat. And that's if you're fighting one enemy. If you're fighting more than one enemy, you can target additional enemies not to attack. You have to pay 1 move point for the first one, or the second enemy, and 2 move points for the third one, and so on and so forth. So that's really good on a city assault when you're fighting more than one enemy. And finally, we have Restoration and Rebirth, both of which give you 3 points of healing, and both of which give you 5 points of healing if you're in a forest. Rebirth, if you play it at night and also use a black mana, says you can also ready up to 3 levels worth of units. And if you're in a forest, you can ready up to 5 levels worth of units. 3 levels of units means you could ready a level 1 and level 2, or you could ready a level 3 unit. Our second set is Demolish and Disintegrate. Now, I said before that an enemy inside of a mage tower or keep is said to be fortified. Demolish allows you to ignore the site fortifications this turn. That means you'd be able to use your siege attack, or you'd be able to use your ranged attack in the first phase where you ordinarily wouldn't be able to, and it gives your enemies an armor of -1, so it reduces it by 1 to a minimum of 1. Disintegrate is a little better. Use red and black mana for this. Play it in the attack phase of combat, and you destroy your target enemy. Other enemies in combat get armor -1 to a minimum of 1. This one's really cool. Space Bending and Time Bending, a blue spell. Space Bending says this turn you may move to spaces and explore new tiles that are 2 spaces away from you as if they were adjacent. So in other words, you'd leap over the adjacent space and go to the one next to it. Ignore any spaces you leap over this way. Your movement does not provoke rampaging enemies this turn. Time Bending is even cooler. It requires blue and black mana, can only be played at night. It says at the end of your turn, set this card aside for the rest of the round. Put all other cards you played this turn, not those discarded or thrown away, back in your hand. So you can use the cards you just played again next turn. You can only do that once a round, though. And then you skip the draw new cards portion of your end of turn step and immediately take another turn. You get 2 turns in a row, but you play the same cards. And you don't draw any new cards at the end of the first turn that you take. That's a very, very cool ability, but you have to be able to generate blue and black mana to do it. Norawas' turn again. Call to Arms is a white spell. You may use an ability of 1 unit in the unit's offer this turn, as if it were one of your recruits. You cannot assign damage to this unit, like Norawas needed any help. And Call to Glory requires white and black mana. You can recruit any unit from the unit's offer for free. If you're at your command limit, you must disband one of your units first. Norawas is doing so well with recruiting. Finally, we have Meditation, which says it's a green spell. Randomly pick 2 cards from your discard pile and place them either on top or bottom of your deed deck. At the end of this turn, draw 2 cards over your hand limit. It also has Trance, which is the exact same thing, except instead of choosing them randomly, you pick which 2 cards. Now these last 4 spells are called interactive spells. 17, 18, 19, and 20 are their numbers. And it's important to know this because if you're playing a solo or a co-op game, you're actually going to remove these cards from the game. You're not going to play with these spells. You're only going to have 16. But in a competitive game, you will have these spells because they interact with each other and they actually make it more difficult for other players. The red one is called Mana Meltdown and Mana Radiance. It says each other player must randomly choose a crystal in their inventory to be lost. You may gain one crystal lost this way to your inventory. Any player that had no crystals in their inventory when you played this takes a wound instead. Mana Radiance reads, when you play this, choose a basic mana color. Each player, including you, takes a wound for each crystal of that color they own. Gain 2 crystals of the chosen color to your inventory. Obviously, Arithia does not mind getting wounded, and so she'll play either one of these and benefit from it. Blue gets Mana Claim and Mana Curse. Mana Claim says take a mana die of the basic color from the source and keep it in your play area until the end of the round. You can either gain 3 mana tokens of that color this turn, or 1 mana token of that color each turn for the remainder of the round, starting with your next turn. Mana Curse is the same as the basic effect. In addition, until the end of the round, each time another player uses 1 or more mana of that color on their turn, from any source, they take a wound. Each player can only get 1 wound per turn this way. White gets Mind Read and Mind Steal. Mind Read reads, choose a color, gain a crystal of the chosen color to your inventory. Each other player must discard a spell or action card of that color from their hand or reveal their hand to show they have none. And Mind Steal is the same as the basic effect, but in addition to that, you may decide to permanently steal one of the action cards, not spells, discard it this way, and put it into your hand. That's a great way to rob a card from somebody. And our last spell of all these spells is green, Energy Flow and Energy Steal. Both of these enable you to ready a unit. It says, if you do ready a unit, you may spend 1 unit of level 2 or less in each other player's unit area. Energy Steal says ready a unit. If you do, that unit also gets healed, and you may spend 1 unit of level 3 or less in each other player's unit area. So again, these 4 spells, I want to set these aside, 17 through 20. You're not going to use these spells in a solo or co-op game, but I'm going to show how to play the first reconnaissance, and you can use these because it's a slightly competitive game. And that is how you use all 20 spells. Again, we're going to shuffle these up, place them right over there on the right side of the board in the play area, next to the Fame and Reputation track. We're not going to put the first 3 spells face up because that's just more information that new players are going to ask about, and they already have enough to worry about. This is certainly not a simple game, and having those spells would make it even tougher to understand, so keep all that face down. Thank you very much for watching everything you need to know about Mage Knight board game. That concludes the spells, and we're already halfway done with the deeds. And the next deed cards we're going to look at have fronts that are exactly the same. So that should be very, very easy, and we're actually getting very close to being able to play a game, believe it or not. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time for part 13. Until then, GLHF. Good luck, have fun.